Hey everybody, it is Wednesday the 23rd of February 2011, and last night I was with a couple of my friends. We worked on building their party's ultimate ship for the Star Wars RPG. Now, I'm the guy running the game, so I get final say on a lot of the more questionable attributes of such ventures. So, we wound up taking a pre-existing ship, kind of. We added two templates, advanced and prototype, and then we stripped out all the parts to give us a general idea of how much we could add or how much we could slap onto a similar frame. And then eventually we wound up putting oversized equipment on in some limited situations, like a massive shield generator, stripping out most of the passenger capacity and being able to reduce a lot of the crew size through the fact that it's a prototype. We did not cherry pick the prototype benefit versus pitfall, so the ship has a reduction in armor plating and a reduction in hit points by 10%, but it has an reduction in crew capacity, so it needs 70% less people to run the thing, and it has double a particular energy type of weapons on the vessel. So whichever one they pick as the primary energy weapon, they can have twice as many of these weapons. Now, this is only on the prototype. If this thing ever went to the production line, an assembly line or something, that those extra benefits and drawbacks would be gone. So they would need more normal crew. They wouldn't have twice as many of their main guns. Yada yada yada. So we wound up building this entire ship. We're not done with it entirely. Right now, there's an issue with they went over by a few points because we were adding a lot of turrets to the ship in order to take up space because it had a lot of space left over and we wanted to use all of it. And when we increased the size of the number, when we increased the number of the weapons on the vessel, we also increased the amount of people we needed to run said guns. So the ship requires a crew of 75, and we wanted to increase the passenger capacity to reflect support staff, and so on and so forth. So the crew of 75 is pretty much how many it takes to run it all the time. And then we slapped on, last night we slapped on 150 people worth of passenger space to account for the fighter squadron and its support personnel that we have on board, and the gunners for all the weapons we're having. Well, we by adding another battery of each type of weapon, it translated into two batteries of the primary. It increased the crew, the capacity requirement for these passenger space by quite a bit. So I kicked it up to 200 today, and that in effect also reflected in the number of escape pods the ship needed. And we wound up going over the allotted amount of emplacement points that we wanted to use by about 22 or 23. I say 22 or 23 because it's 22 straight up. It's 23 if they installed the advanced slave circuits before uh, finishing the design. If the advanced slave circuits are part of the final design, then it's 23 emplacement points over. If it's part of an aftermarket upgrade, if you will, after they build the ship, they add it on later, then it doesn't count right now. But that's what I was dealing with earlier today. Right now, the idea is up in the air to shave out cargo space to compensate for this overage. They have 5,500 tons of cargo space on this vessel, and they only need to scrap about 220 to 130 tons. So it's not a big deal. When this is done, though, they're going to design the fighters that go in the bays, and they'll probably design their own space transport to go into the colossal hangar. Um, that said, all these vessels need to be built after this, which will take a considerable amount of in-game revenue and time. They do have several 100 million credits, so I don't think it's a problem. As it is, the ship design cost is well, it actually he doesn't pay to make these blueprints, I don't think. He the cost of the blueprints isn't how much everyone pays to make the blueprints for him to make them. It is the cost of the ship to produce afterwards. And by looking at the like ignoring, with base costs being what they are, not having to worry about license fees or modification costs or any of that stuff, the after stuff, it's literally the base cost of the vessel as is with this inventory of equipment and so forth. And that also reflects how long it takes him to design the ship. So it takes 14 million credits, then it's going to take him 140 days to design it. Simple as that. So 1 day for every 100,000 credits, and it increases the difficulty by 1 for every 100,000 credits to finish the design. And he can have people helping him on the design, but they also have to have a particular ability. But anyways, this has gone too long, so I'm going to cut this, and yeah, until next time,